Your daughter's wheelchair ramp is a public hazard, Mr. Holloway. I've brought evidence to prove it. The HOA president pressed the button on her demonstration device, and my 9-year-old daughter screamed as electricity tore through her small body, right there in the courtroom, in front of the judge, while I sat 10 feet away and couldn't stop it. They said it was a demonstration. They said she was proving my work was dangerous. Then the bailiff seized the device, and I told them exactly what she'd done, because the handyman she'd been mocking for 6 months used to design fail-safe electrical systems for military hospitals. By the way, where are you watching from? Tell me in the comments below. But here's what nobody saw coming. When they escalated the case to emergency criminal intake that night, the woman who walked through that judge's door was someone I hadn't seen in 5 years. My wife, the mother who vanished without explanation. And she was about to make the HOA president wish she'd never learned my name. This isn't a story about revenge. It's about the moment a mother chose justice over silence. Courtroom 4B smells like old carpet and stale coffee. Marcus Holloway sits in the back corner, his calloused hands gripping the worn armrest of a wooden bench that's probably older than his daughter. Iris is beside him in her wheelchair, her modified LED wheels dimmed to avoid drawing attention. She's 9 years old, dark curls pulled into 2 ponytails, wearing her favorite purple hoodie with a robot on the front. Her legs rest motionless beneath a fleece blanket. For 6 months, Diane Carrington has waged war against them. It started small, a $500 fine for his work truck being commercially parked overnight in his own driveway. Then citations for Iris's wheelchair ramp being aesthetically inconsistent with neighborhood standards. The HOA rulebook became Diane's weapon, wielded with the precision of someone who'd never been told no in her entire life. Now this. A small claim suit demanding $15,000 and forced removal of the ramp, claiming it's a dangerous electrical hazard. Marcus glances at the manila folder under his seat. Inside are permits, inspection certificates, and time-stamped construction photos documenting every step of the ramp's build. He designed it himself when they moved into the townhome 3 years ago, after the accident that left Iris with limited mobility. The ramp isn't just safe, it's overbuilt to hospital-grade standards, with backup grounding systems, arc fault breakers, and tamper-proof conduit. But Judge Morrison, a tired-looking man in his 60s, doesn't seem interested in permits. He's flipping through paperwork with the enthusiasm of someone counting down to retirement. Diane stands at the plaintiff's table in a cream designer suit that probably costs more than Marcus's monthly mortgage. Her blonde hair is styled in perfect waves, diamond earrings catching the fluorescent light. She's holding a leather briefcase that matches her heels. "Your Honor," she says, her voice dripping with manufactured concern, "I represent the Oakmont Hills Homeowners Association. We take the safety of our residents very seriously. Mr. Holloway's construction project poses a significant risk to the community." Marcus's jaw tightens. Construction project. As if love built into wood and metal could be reduced to a bureaucratic complaint. "The defendant installed electrical wiring without proper oversight," Diane continues. "We've received complaints from neighbors about sparking, unusual sounds, and concerns about fire hazards. Lies, all of it. Marcus knows because he installed residential-grade surge protection and hospital-standard emergency cutoffs. The ramp could survive a lightning strike." Judge Morrison sighs. "Ms. Carrington, do you have evidence of these alleged hazards?" "I do, Your Honor." Diane reaches into her briefcase and produces a small plastic box, about the size of a toaster, with exposed wires and alligator clips protruding from one end. "I've brought a demonstration device. With the court's permission, I'd like to show how easily a fault can occur in substandard wiring." Marcus sits forward. Something's wrong. The device in Diane's hands doesn't look like any legitimate circuit tester he's ever seen. The casing is unmarked, the wiring exposed in ways that violate every safety standard. "Your Honor," Marcus starts, but Judge Morrison waves him off. "You'll have your turn, Mr. Holloway." Diane places the box on the plaintiff's table with theatrical care. "I hired an independent electrician to assess the ramp. This device simulates the conditions present in Mr. Holloway's wiring." Iris leans forward in her wheelchair, curious despite herself. "Dad, what kind of tester is that? It doesn't look like yours." Marcus opens his mouth to answer, but Diane is already speaking. Your Honor, if I may demonstrate. Her finger hovers over a red button on the device's side. Marcus's engineering instincts scream warnings. The exposed terminals. The lack of current limiters. The way the wiring bypasses any visible safety mechanisms. Wait, he says. Diane presses the button. The box sparks violently, a sharp crack like a breaking branch. Iris's hand is resting on the edge of the metal plaintiff's table, and the current arcs through the surface in an instant. Her scream tears through the courtroom, high, terrified, the sound every parent dreads. Marcus moves without thinking. He lunges forward, his chair clattering backward, and rips the device away from the table. His hands know to ground himself first, feet planted, body positioned to absorb any residual charge before he touches his daughter. Iris, baby, look at me. She's trembling, tears streaming down her face, her right arm red where the current passed through. Marcus cradles her, checking her pulse, her breathing, his mind running through triage protocols he learned 2 decades ago in another life. The courtroom explodes into chaos. Judge Morrison is shouting for bailiffs. Someone's calling 911. Diane stumbles backward, her face cycling through shock and something that looks almost like calculation. I don't understand, she stammers. It wasn't supposed to. Bailiff Evan Grissom, a broad-shouldered man with salt and pepper hair, reaches for the device. Marcus holds Iris with one arm and points at the box with the other. Don't touch it barehanded. That's not a circuit tester. His voice is steady, cold with controlled fury. That's a modified livestock prod. 12-volt DC input, step-up transformer, no current limiter. Illegal under State Electrical Code, Section 442.6. Evan's eyes widen. He pulls an evidence bag from his belt and carefully secures the device, using his baton to avoid direct contact. Marcus looks down at Iris. Her sobs are quieting, but her whole body shakes. You're okay, sweetheart. You're okay. I've got you. Judge Morrison's gavel slams down, the sound lost in the noise. Clear this courtroom. Bailiff, secure that device as evidence. Someone get the paramedics in here now. Diane's attorney, a silver-haired man in an expensive suit, grabs her arm, whispering urgently. But Marcus doesn't care about their strategy session. He only cares about the little girl in his arms, and the fact that someone just weaponized electricity against his daughter in a court of law. The paramedics arrive within minutes, their kits rattling as they kneel beside Iris's wheelchair. Marcus refuses to let go of his daughter, one hand on her shoulder while the EMTs check her vitals. Her pulse is elevated but steady. The burn mark on her forearm is superficial. First degree, maybe second. She got lucky. The thought makes Marcus's stomach turn. Lucky. In a courtroom. Because someone brought a weapon disguised as evidence. Sir, we need to transport her to County General for observation, the lead paramedic says. She's young, maybe late 20s, with kind eyes. Electrical injuries can have delayed effects. We need to monitor her heart rhythm. Iris grips Marcus's hand. Dad, I don't want to go to the hospital. I know, baby, but we need to make sure you're okay. He smooths her hair back, his throat tight. I'll be right there with you, I promise. Judge Morrison has cleared the gallery, but a few HOA members linger near the doors, their faces pale with shock. Marcus recognizes Helen Kowalski, the vice president, her hand pressed to her mouth. Even she looks horrified. Bailiff Evan approaches with the evidence bag containing Diane's device. He crouches beside Marcus, his voice low. Mr. Holloway, I need to ask you some questions. That breakdown you gave, the 12-volt input, the step-up transformer. How'd you know all that? Marcus glances at the device through the clear plastic. From this angle, he can see where someone filed off the serial numbers, the crude soldering on the internal transformer, the absence of any UL, certification marks. I used to design power systems, he says quietly. Military hospitals, emergency grids. Before... He trails off, looking at Iris. Before the accident. Before Claudia left. Before everything that mattered got reduced to survival and single parenthood. Evan's expression shifts, recognition mixed with respect. Army? Contractor? Lockheed Martin? Senior engineer? Marcus hasn't said those words aloud in years. They feel strange in his mouth, like a language he used to speak fluently. I walked away 5 years ago when my daughter needed me more than the DOD did. And the ramp she's suing you over? Hospital-grade construction, backup grounding, arc fault protection, independent inspection. I've got the permits in my folder. Marcus nods toward the bench where he'd been sitting. Every component is documented. Evan straightens, his jaw set. I'm putting this in my report. Judge Morrison's already recused himself. This isn't a civil matter anymore. Criminal intake will handle it from here. Diane is still near the plaintiff's table, her attorney whispering urgently in her ear. She's trying to look shocked, concerned, but Marcus catches something else in her expression when she glances toward him. Calculation. She's already planning her defense. The thought ignites something cold and sharp in his chest. "Bailiff," Marcus says, his voice carrying across the now empty courtroom. "Check the hallway security footage. I want to know if she tampered with that device before bringing it in here." Evan nods slowly. "Already on it." One of the paramedics touches Marcus's shoulder. "Sir, we really need to transport now." Marcus lifts Iris carefully, settling her back into her wheelchair. The paramedics will take her in the ambulance, and he'll follow in his truck. Standard procedure. But as they start toward the doors, Iris looks back at Diane. "Why did you hurt me?" Her voice is small, confused. "I didn't do anything to you." The courtroom goes silent. Diane opens her mouth, closes it. For the first time since Marcus has known her, through 6 months of harassment, fines, and legal threats, she looks genuinely rattled. "It was an accident," Diane finally manages. "I would never intentionally—" "You brought a weapon into a courthouse," Marcus interrupts, his voice deadly calm. "You activated it while my daughter was within range. You filed off the serial numbers and removed the safety labels. That's not an accident, Ms. Carrington. That's premeditation." Her attorney steps forward. "Mr. Holloway, I understand you're upset, but accusations aren't accusations when there's evidence." Marcus gestures to the device in Evan's hands. "Your client just committed assault with a deadly weapon in front of a judge, 2 bailiffs, and a courtroom full of witnesses. The only question now is whether she's stupid enough to think her HOA connections will save her." The attorney's face goes pale. Marcus turns back to the paramedics. "Let's go!" They wheel Iris toward the exit, and Marcus follows, his hand resting protectively on her shoulder. Behind them, he hears Diane's voice rising in pitch, arguing with her attorney. He doesn't care. Let her panic. Let her scramble for explanations. In the hallway, Helen Kowalski approaches hesitantly. "Marcus, we didn't know she'd do something like this. The board never authorized." "Mrs. Kowalski." Marcus stops, meeting her eyes. "For 6 months, your board watched Diane harass my family. You fined me for parking my work truck in my own driveway. You cited me for building a ramp so my disabled daughter could enter her own home. You stood by while she turned my life into a legal nightmare." His voice doesn't rise, but every word lands like a hammer. "So forgive me if I'm not interested in your apologies right now." Helen flinches. "You're right. I should have spoken up sooner." "Yes," Marcus agrees. "You should have." He keeps walking, following the paramedics through the courthouse corridors. Behind him, he can hear raised voices from courtroom 4B, Diane arguing, Judge Morrison calling for order. The controlled chaos of a civil hearing transforming into a criminal scene. Outside, the afternoon sun is too bright, too normal. The ambulance idles at the curb, its back doors open. Iris is already inside, the paramedics hooking up a portable EKG monitor. Marcus climbs in beside her, ignoring protocol, and the EMTs don't argue. If you believe that, sometimes the people meant to protect us need to be reminded what protection actually means. Make sure you're subscribed because this story is just getting started, and what happens in the courtroom tonight will change everything. The doors close. The ambulance pulls away from the courthouse, sirens silent, but lights flashing. Through the back window, Marcus watches the building recede. Somewhere inside, evidence is being cataloged, security footage is being reviewed. The machinery of justice is beginning to turn. He doesn't know yet that in 3 hours, he'll be standing in a different courtroom. He doesn't know that the judge who walks through those doors will be someone he thought he'd lost forever. Right now, all he knows is that his daughter is safe in his arms, and someone will answer for what happened today. That's enough. County General's emergency room is a study in controlled chaos. Fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting everything in harsh white. The air smells like antiseptic and anxiety. Marcus sits beside Iris's bed in the pediatric observation area, a curtained-off section where machines beep softly and nurses move with practiced efficiency. She's been here for 90 minutes. The EKG shows normal sinus rhythm. The burn on her arm has been treated with silver sulfadiazine and wrapped in gauze. They're keeping her for another hour to monitor for delayed cardiac symptoms, though the attending physician says she's stable. Iris is drawing on the back of her discharge paperwork, her colored pencils spread across the blanket. She's sketching the courthouse, surprisingly detailed for a 9-year-old, complete with columns and steps. In the center of her drawing, a small figure in a wheelchair faces a larger figure, holding something that crackles with jagged lines. Marcus watches her work, his chest tight. She's processing. That's what the child life specialist said when she stopped by earlier. Kids process trauma through play, through art, through questions that adults find uncomfortable. Dad? Iris doesn't look up from her drawing. Why does Ms. Carrington hate us so much? It's the question Marcus has been dreading. How do you explain cruelty to a child? How do you make sense of someone who weaponizes bureaucracy and electrical current against a family they've never wronged? I don't think she hates us, baby. Marcus chooses his words carefully. I think she's someone who's used to getting what she wants, and when people don't give it to her, she doesn't know how to handle it. That's stupid. Yeah, Marcus agrees quietly. It is. Iris adds another detail to her drawing, a small heart above the wheelchair figure's head. I wish Mom was here. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Iris rarely mentions Claudia anymore. For the first 2 years after the disappearance, she asked constantly, "Where's Mommy? When is she coming back? Did I do something wrong?" Marcus answered with carefully constructed half-truths. "Mommy had to go away to keep us safe. She loves you very much. It's not your fault." Eventually, Iris stopped asking. The questions faded into silence, and Marcus told himself that was better, easier, less painful for both of them. But right now, in this sterile hospital room, with his daughter's arm bandaged from another person's cruelty, Marcus would give anything to have Claudia here, not for himself. He's made peace with her absence, or at least learned to function around the wound. For Iris, because a little girl who just got electrocuted in a courtroom deserves her mother. I wish she was here too, Marcus says, his voice rough. He still wears his wedding ring. People assume he's widowed. It's easier than explaining the truth. Easier than saying, "My wife left a note and vanished into witness protection because a man she once defended decided her family was fair game for his obsession." Easier than admitting he still doesn't know if she thinks about them, if she regrets leaving, if she's even alive. The ring feels heavy today, a circle of gold that means something and nothing all at once. Marcus's phone buzzes, a text from Sarah Chen, the public defender assigned to his case. Emergency intake scheduled for 7 p.m. Courtroom 7A. Different judge, Morrison recused. Carrington being charged with assault buyer's deadly weapon, child endangerment, courthouse security violation. You need to be there. He checks the time. 4:47 p.m. Just over 2 hours. Iris, how are you feeling? Think you can handle another trip to the courthouse tonight? She looks up from her drawing. Is Ms. Carrington going to be there? Yes, but this time, she's the one who has to answer questions. Iris considers this, then nods. Okay, but I want to bring Mr. Gears. Mr. Gears is her stuffed robot, a floppy blue thing with button eyes that she's had since she was 4, since before the accident, since before Claudia left. Deal. The nurse returns with discharge papers and post-care instructions. Watch for irregular heartbeat, dizziness, nausea. Return immediately if symptoms develop. Marcus signs everything, helps Iris back into her wheelchair, and navigates the maze of hospital corridors to the parking garage. His truck is a 10-year-old Ford F-150, paint faded and tools rattling in the bed. It smells like coffee and motor oil. Marcus lifts Iris into the passenger seat, folds her wheelchair, and secures it in the back. She buckles herself in, Mr. Gears clutched against her chest. They drive in silence for a while, the late afternoon sun turning everything amber and gold. Marcus takes the long way home, avoiding the highway, giving them both time to decompress. Oak trees line the residential streets, their branches forming a canopy overhead. Dad? Iris's voice is soft. When I got shocked, you knew exactly what to do. You didn't even hesitate. Marcus glances at her. I used to work with electrical systems, before you were born and a little after. It was my job to make sure things were safe. Is that why our ramp is so good? Better than everyone else's? Yeah, baby, that's why. She's quiet for a moment, processing. Ms. Carrington said it was dangerous, but it's not, is it? No, it's probably the safest ramp in the state. I built it like I was building it for a hospital, because you deserve that level of care. Iris hugs Mr. Gears tighter. I'm glad you're my dad. Marcus has to blink hard against the sudden pressure behind his eyes. I'm glad you're my daughter. They pull into the driveway of their modest townhome, a 2-bedroom unit in a neighborhood that's seen better days but still has good schools and tree-lined streets. The ramp extends from the front door, its surface textured for traction, railings powder-coated steel, every joint welded and sealed. Marcus remembers building it over 2 weekends 3 years ago, working late into the night with floodlights, double-checking every measurement, every connection. Diane Carrington saw a code violation. Marcus sees love made tangible. Inside, Marcus makes Iris a grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup, comfort food, simple and warm. She eats slowly, her appetite returning. He checks her bandage, takes her temperature, watches for any signs of delayed shock. All normal. At 6:15, they get back in the truck. Iris brings Mr. Gears and a small blanket. The drive to the courthouse takes 20 minutes in evening traffic. Marcus parks in the public lot, helps Iris into her wheelchair, and they make their way through the security. Checkpoint. The guard recognizes them from earlier. Hey, you're the family from Courtroom 4B. Is she okay? She's okay, Marcus confirms. Good. Hope they throw the book at that lady. Courtroom 7A is smaller than Morrison's, more modern. Dark wood paneling, newer chairs, better lighting. Sarah Chen meets them in the hallway, her briefcase tucked under one arm. Marcus, hi. Okay, so this is just the intake hearing. The judge will review charges, set bail, establish conditions. You might be asked to give a brief statement, but nothing extensive. The full proceedings will come later. She crouches beside Iris. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Okay, my arm hurts a little. That's understandable. You were very brave today. Sarah stands checking her watch. Judge should be here any minute. I don't know who they assigned. Someone from the criminal division, probably. But whoever it is, they've got a solid case. Evan's report was thorough, and courthouse security pulled footage showing Carrington tampering with the device in the hallway before the hearing. Marcus nods, but he's only half listening. He's watching the door behind the bench, waiting for a stranger to walk through and decide what happens next. He has no idea that the woman about to enter will be the furthest thing from a stranger. The bailiff calls the court to order at exactly 7 o'clock. Marcus sits in the front row of the gallery, Iris beside him in her wheelchair, Mr. Gears tucked under her arm. Sarah Chen is at the defense table, though in this proceeding, Marcus is technically the victim, not the defendant. The semantics feel strange. He's spent 6 months being sued, and now suddenly he's the one with legal protection. The courtroom is quieter than Morrison's was. Only a handful of people are present. Sarah, a young prosecutor Marcus hasn't met yet. Diane's new attorney, a different man, younger than the silver-haired one from this afternoon, and a court reporter setting up her machine. Diane herself sits at the defendant's table, her cream suit replaced with something darker, more conservative. Her hair is pulled back severely. She looks smaller somehow, diminished. Good, Marcus thinks, and then immediately feels guilty for the satisfaction. The bailiff, a different one, not Evan, stands at attention. All rise. The Honorable Claudia Holloway presiding. Marcus rises automatically, his hand steadying Iris's wheelchair. The name registers half a second later, hitting him like a freight train to the chest. Claudia. No, it can't be. Holloway is a common enough name, probably a coincidence. Some distant relative he's never met. His mind races through possibilities, each one more desperate than the last, because the alternative is impossible. Claudia is gone. She's been gone for 5 years. She could be anywhere. Another state, another country, maybe even dead, despite the federal agent who assured him she'd entered witness protection alive. The door behind the bench opens. A woman steps through in black judicial robes, dark hair pulled into a neat bun, reading glasses perched on her nose. She's looking down at a file folder, her expression focused and professional. Marcus's vision narrows. The courtroom tilts. It's her, Claudia, his wife. The woman who left a note on their kitchen table 5 years ago and disappeared into the night. The woman he reported missing, searched for, grieved. The woman whose absence carved a hole through the center of his life that he's spent half a decade learning to navigate around. She's here, in judicial robes, about to preside over the case where his daughter was attacked. Claudia lifts her head as she settles into her chair behind the bench, and her eyes meet his. Time stops. Her face goes pale. The file folder in her hands trembles visibly. For 3 heartbeats, neither of them moves. The professional mask she's wearing fractures, and Marcus sees everything underneath. Shock, fear, grief. Something that might be hope or might be terror. Then she blinks and the mask slams back into place. "Please be seated." Her voice is steady, controlled, but Marcus knows her well enough to hear the hairline crack beneath the surface. He knows the way her left hand flexes when she's trying to maintain composure. He knows the slight tension in her jaw means she's one wrong word away from breaking. He sits because his legs won't hold him anymore. Beside him, Iris is oblivious, adjusting Mr. Gears in her lap. She was 4 when Claudia left. She barely remembers her mother's face. Claudia opens the file, and Marcus watches her eyes scan the first page. He sees the exact moment she reads Iris's name. Her breathing changes, shallow, controlled, like someone trying not to drown. "Before we proceed," Claudia says, her voice careful, "I need to make a disclosure for the record." She looks up, and this time her gaze lands on Iris. Something in her expression cracks open. "I have a prior personal connection to the victim in this case and her father. Under normal circumstances, I would recuse myself immediately." Sarah Chen sits forward, confused. Marcus can't move, can't breathe. "However," Claudia continues, "given the emergency nature of this intake hearing, the unavailability of other judges this evening due to scheduling conflicts, and the prosecutorial concern that the defendant may make bail and potentially flee or tamper with witnesses before morning, I am requesting permission to proceed provisionally. A permanent judge will be assigned tomorrow for all subsequent proceedings." She finally looks directly at Marcus. "Mr. Holloway, you have the right to object to my presiding over this hearing. If you do, the intake will be delayed until tomorrow morning, and the defendant will be held in county lockup overnight without bail determination." Sarah leans toward Marcus, whispering urgently, "Do you know her?" Marcus's throat is dry. "She's my wife." Sarah's eyes widen. "Your wife?" You said she... I haven't seen her in 5 years." The words come out hoarse. "I don't understand what's happening." Claudia is waiting, her hands folded on the bench, her expression neutral, except for her eyes. Those eyes are pleading with him. Not for mercy, for time, for the chance to do what she came here to do. Marcus thinks about Diane sitting at the defendant's table, probably calculating whether her connections and money can get her out of this. He thinks about Iris's scream when the current tore through her body. He thinks about 5 years of silence and abandonment and raising their daughter alone. And he thinks about the fact that Claudia is here now, offering him something he never expected. Protection disguised as justice. "No objection," Marcus says quietly. Relief flashes across Claudia's face, gone in an instant. She nods once. "Thank you. Let the record show that the victim's father has consented to my provisional jurisdiction." She turns to the bailiff. "Bring in the defendant." Diane's attorney stands. "Your Honor, my client is already present." "I meant for formal charging," Claudia interrupts smoothly. "Ms. Carrington, please stand." Diane rises, and for the first time Marcus sees genuine fear in her expression. She's realized this isn't the civil court where she wielded power through connections and money. This is criminal court, and the woman behind the bench is looking at her like she's something dangerous that needs to be contained. The prosecutor, a young woman with sharp features and nervous energy, stands as well. "Your Honor, the people are prepared to present charges." "Proceed, Ms. Ruiz." The prosecutor glances at her notes. "The people charge Diane Marie Carrington with assault with a deadly weapon under Penal Code 245, child endangerment under Penal Code 273A, reckless conduct, and bringing a prohibited device into a courthouse in violation of Penal Code 171B. Diane's face drains of color, Her attorney puts a hand on her arm. Claudia's expression doesn't change. How does the defendant plead? Not guilty, Your Honor, the attorney says quickly. This was a terrible accident involving a device my client purchased online for educational purposes. She had no knowledge of any modifications or counselor. Claudia's voice is ice. I asked for a plea, not an opening statement. The plea is entered as not guilty. We'll now address bail. She opens a second file folder, and Marcus recognizes Evan's handwriting on the top sheet. The bailiff's report from this afternoon. Claudia reads in silence, her face betraying nothing, but her left hand flexes twice. She's reading about what happened to Iris, reading about their daughter being electrocuted while Marcus watched helplessly. When Claudia looks up again, her eyes are cold enough to freeze blood. Ms. Ruiz, what is the people's bail recommendation? Given the severity of the charges and the evidence of premeditation, the defendant tampered with the device before bringing it into the courthouse, the people request bail be set at $100,000, cash only, with GPS monitoring and a no-contact order for all witnesses and victims. Diane's attorney objects immediately. Your Honor, that's excessive. Ms. Carrington is a respected community leader with deep roots in. She electrocuted a 9-year-old child in a court of law, Claudia says quietly. The words land like stones dropping into still water. The attorney stops mid-sentence. Claudia continues, her voice measured and deadly. She brought a modified electrical device into a courthouse, bypassed security by misrepresenting its purpose, and activated it in the presence of a disabled minor, causing physical injury and emotional trauma. She looks at Diane directly. Do you have anything to say before I set bail, Ms. Carrington? Diane's mouth opens, closes. It was an accident, Your Honor. I never meant. Intention is irrelevant to the charges. What matters is action and consequence. Claudia's gaze doesn't waver. Bail is set at $100,000 cash. You will surrender your passport. You are prohibited from contacting Marcus Holloway, his daughter, or any witnesses in this case. You will wear a GPS monitor. Your authority as HOA president is suspended pending resolution of these charges. Diane gasps, the sound sharp and panicked. Your Honor, I have community ties. I've never been arrested before. You weaponized electricity against a child in my courtroom. Claudia's voice drops to a whisper that somehow fills every corner of the space. In 20 years on the bench, I have never witnessed such reckless disregard for human life disguised as civic duty. You are fortunate, Ms. Carrington, that I am not the permanent judge assigned to this case, because I would ensure you never hold a position of authority again. The courtroom is utterly silent. Even the court reporter has stopped typing, her fingers frozen above the keys. Claudia continues, her words precise and surgical. Bail is set as stated. The defendant will report to pretrial services within 24 hours to be fitted with monitoring equipment. A preliminary hearing is scheduled for December 18th at 9 a.m. A permanent judge will be assigned by end of business tomorrow. She looks at the prosecutor. Ms. Ruiz, anything further? The young prosecutor looks slightly dazed, as if she's witnessing something both terrifying and magnificent. No, Your Honor, the people are satisfied with the conditions. Mr. Vestry? Claudia addresses Diane's attorney. He stands, clearly calculating whether to push back. One look at Claudia's expression, and he thinks better of it. No, Your Honor. Then we're adjourned. The gavel strikes once, a sound like a door slamming shut. Diane is led away by the bailiff, her designer heels clicking against the tile floor. She's crying now, mascara running, all pretense of control abandoned. Her attorney follows, already on his phone, probably calling whoever handles bail bonds for six-figure amounts. The courtroom empties quickly. The prosecutor gathers her files, nodding at Sarah Chen on her way out. Sarah touches Marcus's shoulder. I need to file some paperwork, but that went better than I expected. I'll call you tomorrow with next steps. Marcus nods mutely. He's still staring at the bench where Claudia sits, perfectly still, her hands flat on the wood surface, as if she's holding herself together through sheer force of will. Sarah leaves. The court reporter packs up her machine. The bailiff steps into a side office. And then it's just the three of them. Marcus, Iris, and the woman who left them 5 years ago. Claudia removes her reading glasses slowly. She's looking at Iris with an expression Marcus has seen only once before. In the hospital, the night of the accident, when the doctors said their daughter might never walk again. Pure, undiluted grief mixed with a love so fierce it could shatter worlds. "Dad," Iris whispers, "why is the judge looking at us like that?" Marcus's hands are shaking. "Because..." His voice breaks. He starts again. "Because that's your mom, sweetheart." Iris's head whips toward him, then back to Claudia. She studies the woman on the bench with the intense focus only children possess, cataloging features, searching for recognition in memories that are 5 years old and fading. "My mom?" Iris's voice is small, uncertain. Claudia stands, her robes rustling. She steps down from the bench, moving carefully, as if approaching something precious and fragile. When she's 10 feet away, she stops. The invisible barrier between them is palpable. She kneels slowly, and Marcus sees her hands trembling. "Yes," Claudia says softly. "I'm your mom." Iris grips the armrests of her wheelchair. "You left." The words are an accusation and a question, and a wound all at once. "I did." Claudia's voice cracks. "I'm so sorry." "Why?" It's the question Marcus has asked himself 1,000 times. Why did she leave? Why didn't she fight? Why wasn't their family worth staying for? Claudia takes a shaky breath. "Because someone dangerous was following me. Someone from a case I worked on before I became a judge. He threatened to hurt you and your dad if I didn't make him think I was alone. So I left to keep you safe." Iris processes this with the blunt logic of a 9-year-old. "Did it work?" "Yes, he was arrested 2 months ago. That's when I was finally able to come back." "Did you know we'd be in your court today?" Claudia shakes her head. "No, I've been watching from a distance. I knew about the HOA problems, but I didn't know about the emergency hearing until they assigned it to me an hour ago. When I read the names on the case file..." She trails off, wiping at her eyes. Marcus finds his voice raw and jagged. 5 years, Claudia. 5 years of Iris asking where you were. 5 years of me not knowing if you were alive or dead. If this story is hitting you in the chest, if you've ever had to be both parents at once, or if you know what it's like when someone you thought was gone forever walks back into your life, hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will either break this family apart or begin putting it back together. "I know." Claudia looks at him, and Marcus sees that she's aged in ways that have nothing to do with time. There are lines around her eyes that weren't there before, a hardness in her jaw that speaks of survival rather than living. "I watched from a distance. I saw her school photos when you filed them for disability accommodations. I saw you at her wheelchair rugby games. I sat in my car across the street. I broke every rule of witness protection to keep tabs on you both. Why didn't you tell me?" Marcus's voice cracks. "Why didn't you let me know you were okay?" "Because you would have tried to find me, and he was monitoring everything. Your emails, your bank accounts, your phone records. If you'd known where I was, he would have found out, and he would have killed you to get to me." Tears stream down Claudia's face. "I chose your life over my presence. I'd make the same choice again." Marcus wants to be angry. He wants to rage at her for the birthdays she missed, the nights Iris cried herself to sleep, the mornings he woke up alone and had to remember all over again that she wasn't coming back. But all he feels is exhausted. "I don't know what to do with this," he says quietly. "You don't have to do anything." Claudia wipes her face with the back of her hand. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking to come back into your lives. I just needed you to know. I never abandoned you. I was protecting you the only way I knew how." Iris has been silent, watching this exchange with wide eyes. Now she rolls her wheelchair forward slightly, the motors humming in the quiet courtroom. "Are you going to leave again?" she asks. Claudia drops to her knees fully, bringing herself to Iris's eye level. "Not unless you want me to." "I don't remember you very much," Iris admits. "I remember your perfume, and that you used to read me stories about dragons." "You loved those stories." Claudia's smile is broken and beautiful. "You made me read the same one every night for 2 months." "The one with the princess who saved herself?" "That's the one." Iris looks at Marcus, uncertainty written across her face. "Dad, what do we do?" Marcus kneels beside her wheelchair, putting himself at eye level with both his daughter and his wife. "We take it slow," he says finally. "We have a lot to talk about, a lot to figure out, but..." He looks at Claudia. Iris deserves to know her mother, even if I don't know how to forgive you yet. Claudia exhales, a sound like a sob caught halfway. Thank you. That's more than I deserve. Probably, Marcus agrees, but she's not mine to keep from you. Claudia reaches out slowly, telegraphing her movement, like someone approaching a skittish animal, and touches Iris's hand where it rests on the wheelchair armrest. Iris doesn't pull away. She studies her mother's fingers, the same long, elegant hands Marcus remembers, though now there's a thin scar across the knuckles that wasn't there before. What happened to your hand? Iris asks. Claudia glances at the scar. I was living in Montana under a different name, working as a paralegal. One of the filing cabinets had a broken drawer that caught my hand when I wasn't paying attention. She pauses. I couldn't go to a hospital because too many questions would have been asked, so I stitched it myself. Marcus's stomach turns. The image of Claudia alone in some anonymous apartment, needle and thread in hand, trying to hold her life together, literally and figuratively. It's almost too much to process. Did it hurt? Iris asks. Yes, but not as much as being away from you. It's the kind of line that should feel manipulative, but Claudia's delivery is matter of fact, almost clinical. She's not trying to win sympathy. She's just stating a truth. Iris considers this. Ms. Carrington hurt me today. With electricity. Dad says you made sure she can't hurt anyone else. Claudia's jaw tightens. That's right. She's not allowed to come near you or your father, and if she violates that order, she'll go straight to jail. Good. Iris's voice is small but fierce. She's mean. She is, Claudia agrees, and mean people shouldn't get to win. Marcus watches this exchange, his emotions a tangled mess he can't begin to sort through. There's anger, yes, 5 years of it, compounded and calcified. But there's also something else, relief maybe, or vindication. The woman he married, the one who fought for justice in public defenders' offices and courtrooms, is still in there somewhere beneath the trauma and absence. Sarah Chen appears in the doorway, her expression apologetic. Sorry to interrupt, but they need to lock up the courtroom for the night. Claudia stands, smoothing her robes. The professional mask slides back into place, but not quite as perfectly as before. Of course, I need to file my recusal paperwork anyway. Wait, Marcus finds himself speaking before he's thought it through. Can we talk? Not here, not now, but soon? There's too much that doesn't make sense. Claudia looks at him, and for the first time in 5 years, he sees hope in her eyes. I'd like that. I can give you my number. It's new, obviously. Or we can meet somewhere neutral. Tomorrow, Marcus says, after I get Iris to school. There's a coffee shop on Maple Street near the library. 9:30? I'll be there. She reaches into her robe pocket and produces a business card, official court stationery with her name and contact information. The sight of Judge Claudia Holloway printed in neat letters makes something in Marcus's chest twist. She built a whole life without them, rose through the ranks, survived witness. Protection became exactly what she always wanted to be, and they had no idea she was even alive. Marcus takes the card, their fingers brushing briefly. The contact is electric in a way that has nothing to do with the courtroom incident. Muscle memory, his body remembering what his mind has tried to forget. He pulls back quickly. Tomorrow, Claudia echoes. She looks at Iris one more time. Can I hug you? You can say no. Iris glances at Marcus, seeking permission. He nods slightly. She turns back to Claudia. Okay, but not too tight. My arm hurts from the shock. Claudia kneels again and wraps her arms around Iris with a gentleness that makes Marcus's throat close up. It's brief, maybe 5 seconds, but when she pulls back, there are fresh tears on her face. Thank you for being so brave today, Claudia whispers, in the courtroom and just now. You're welcome. Iris pauses. Your perfume is different. It used to smell like flowers. Now it smells like... She sniffs. Like rain. Claudia laughs, the sound wet and broken. That's because I can't wear the same brands anymore? Someone might recognize them. But I'm glad you remember. Sarah clears her throat gently. Marcus, we really do need to go. He nods, standing and taking hold of Iris's wheelchair. Come on, sweetheart, let's go home. As they move toward the exit, Iris waves at Claudia. Bye, Mom. The word mom makes Claudia's face crumple. She waves back, unable to speak. In the hallway, Sarah walks beside them silently until they reach the elevator. When the doors close, she finally says, "So that's your wife, the one you thought was gone." "Yeah." She seemed intense, in a good way. That bail ruling was something else. Marcus thinks about Claudia's face when she read Evan's report, when she learned what Diane had done to Iris. She's always been protective, even when it meant destroying herself to keep us safe. Are you going to let her back into your lives? I don't know. Marcus watches the floor numbers descend. She left us. She had reasons. Good reasons, apparently, but she still left. I spent 5 years learning how to be okay without her. I don't know if I can unlearn that. And Iris? Iris deserves a mother. That's not about me and what I've lost. It's about her. The elevator opens to the parking garage. Marcus's truck sits under a flickering light, looking even more beaten up than usual next to the sleek sedans and SUVs surrounding it. They walk in silence until they reach the vehicle. Sarah helps Marcus load Iris's wheelchair into the bed, then pauses. For what it's worth, I think you're handling this with a lot of grace. Most people would be screaming or breaking things. I did my screaming 5 years ago, Marcus says quietly. Now I'm just tired. He drives home through darkening streets, Iris dozing in the passenger seat, Mr. Gears clutched against her chest. The townhome's porch light is on. He set it on a timer years ago, so they'd never come home to darkness. It's a small thing, but it matters. Coming home should feel safe. Inside, Marcus heats up leftover pasta and makes sure Iris takes her pain medication. She's exhausted, the adrenaline crash hitting hard. He helps her into pajamas, checks her bandage one more time, and tucks her into bed. "Dad," she says as he's turning off the light, "do you think Mom really stayed away to protect us?" Marcus sits on the edge of her bed. "Yeah, baby, I think she did. Are you mad at her?" "I'm complicated at her. I'm sad and confused and a little bit angry and a little bit relieved. But mostly I'm just glad you're safe." Iris yawns. Ms. Carrington looked scared when Mom was talking to her. "I think she was." "Good," Iris mumbles, already half asleep. "People who hurt kids should be scared." Marcus kisses her forehead. "Get some sleep, sweetheart." He leaves her door cracked open. She still doesn't like complete darkness, and walks to the kitchen. The house is too quiet. It's always too quiet after Iris goes to bed, the silence pressing in from all sides. Marcus pulls Claudia's business card from his pocket and sets it on the counter. Judge Claudia Holloway. Office phone, cell phone, email, all the ways to reach someone who was unreachable for half a decade. He picks up his own phone and stares at the new contact information. His thumb hovers over the call button. Not yet. Tomorrow. At the coffee shop, in daylight, with other people around. Neutral ground. He saves the number and sets his phone down. Through the kitchen window, he can see the ramp leading to the front door, illuminated by the porch light. The ramp that started all of this. Diane saw it as a violation of aesthetic standards. Marcus sees it as proof that love can be measured in precise angles and load-bearing calculations. Tomorrow, he'll talk to Claudia. Tomorrow, he'll start trying to understand 5 years of silence and survival. Tonight, he's just a father whose daughter is safe in her bed, and that's enough. Morning arrives with weak November sunlight filtering through the kitchen blinds. Marcus makes pancakes, Iris's favorite, and watches his daughter push them around her plate with less enthusiasm than usual. She's quiet, withdrawn in a way that sets off every parental alarm in his body. "How's your arm feeling?" he asks, pouring orange juice. She shrugs. "It's okay. Just itchy under the bandage. That means it's healing. We'll change the dressing after school." Iris takes a small bite of pancake, chews slowly. "Dad, is Mom going to come to my rugby game on Saturday?" The question catches Marcus off guard. "I don't know, baby. We're meeting this morning to talk. Do you want her to come?" Another shrug. "Maybe, I don't know." She pauses. "Hannah's mom comes to all her games, and her dad. They bring signs and everything." The unspoken comparison hangs in the air. Hannah has 2 parents who show up. Iris has one dad who tries to be enough but knows he isn't. "I'll ask her," Marcus promises. But I can't guarantee anything yet. We're still figuring things out. Okay. Iris goes back to pushing pancakes around. Are you going to get back together? Marcus sets down his coffee mug. Honestly, I don't know. That's complicated grown-up stuff that we need time to work through. But you still wear your ring. He glances at the gold band on his left hand. Yeah, I do. Why? It's the question he's avoided asking himself for 5 years. Why does he still wear it? Habit, hope, an inability to let go of something that's already gone? Because part of me never stopped being married to her, Marcus admits. Even when I thought she might be dead. Even when I was angry. I just couldn't take it off. Iris nods, as if this makes perfect sense. I think you should ask her about the dragon stories. If she remembers them, then maybe she's still the same mom. The 9-year-old logic is both heartbreaking and profound. That's a good test, Marcus agrees. He drops Iris at school 20 minutes later, watching until she's safely inside the building with her aide. Then he drives to the coffee shop on Maple Street, arriving 15 minutes early. He orders black coffee and sits at a corner table near the window where he can watch the door. His phone buzzes. A text from Sarah Chen. Permanent judge assigned. Richard O. Say. He's fair, experienced. Good draw for us. Preliminary hearing still set for Dex 18. Marcus types back a quick thanks and pockets his phone. At exactly 9:28, Claudia walks through the door. She's dressed in civilian clothes, dark jeans, a gray sweater, brown leather jacket. Her hair is down instead of pulled back, and without the judicial robes, she looks smaller, more vulnerable. More like the woman he married 12 years ago in a courthouse ceremony with 2 witnesses and no family. She spots him immediately and walks over, her movements careful, as if she's approaching something fragile. Hi. She doesn't sit until he gestures to the chair across from him. Hi. Silence stretches between them, awkward and heavy. Marcus studies her face, cataloging changes. New lines around her eyes, a faint scar along her jawline. She's thinner than she used to be, her cheekbones more pronounced. You look different, he says finally. So do you, older. 5 years will do that. Claudia wraps her hands around the coffee cup she's holding. She must have ordered while he was looking at his phone. I don't know where to start. Start with why you couldn't tell me. Marcus keeps his voice level, but the question carries 5 years of weight. Even if I couldn't know where you were, why couldn't someone tell me you were alive? Do you know what it's like to wonder if your wife is dead in a ditch somewhere? She flinches. The marshal said any contact was a risk. David Lorne had resources, money, connections. He was tracking everything associated with me. If I'd reached out, even indirectly, he might have found a way to follow the trail back. Who is David Lorne? Claudia takes a breath. Someone I defended 8 years ago when I was a public defender, armed robbery charge. I got him a plea deal, 3 years instead of 10. He thought I didn't fight hard enough, that I sold him out. When he got out on appeal due to a technicality, he became obsessed with making me pay for what he saw as betrayal. So he threatened you. He did more than threaten. Claudia's voice goes flat, the tone of someone reciting facts to avoid feeling them. He broke into our house while you were at work and Iris was at daycare, left photos of her on the playground, detailed descriptions of your commute route, a note explaining exactly how he'd hurt you both if I didn't make things right. Marcus's blood runs cold. When was this? 2 weeks before I left, right after Iris's accident. We were already vulnerable, already barely holding it together, and then this psychopath decides to target our family because I took a plea deal 8 years earlier. Her hands shake around the coffee cup. I went to the police. They said without direct threats of violence, there wasn't much they could do. Restraining order, maybe, but that's just paper. So you decided to disappear. I decided to give him a target he could follow that wouldn't lead to you and Iris. I contacted the marshals, told them about the situation, and they offered witness protection if I was willing to testify against him. They'd been building a case for stalking and harassment of multiple attorneys, so I took it. I left the note because I couldn't just vanish without you knowing it was my choice. And then I spent 5 years in Montana, working under a false name, waiting for them to finally arrest him. Marcus processes this, anger and understanding warring in his chest. You chose to protect us over being with us. Yes. And you didn't think I deserved to be part of that choice? Claudia's eyes fill with tears. If I'd told you, you would have tried to stop me. Or worse, you would have tried to help, and he would have killed you for it. I couldn't, her voice breaks. I couldn't watch you die because of something I did 8 years ago. So instead, I got to watch my daughter ask where her mother went, got to explain to her teachers why there was only one parent at conferences, got to hold her while she cried on Mother's Day. Marcus's voice rises despite his efforts to control it. You saved our lives, Claudia, but you destroyed them at the same time. I know. Tears stream down her face. I know, and I hate myself for it every single day. But I'd do it again, because you're alive. Iris is alive. That matters more than anything. Marcus stares at his coffee, watching steam rise in lazy spirals. Tell me about Montana. The shift in topic catches Claudia off guard. What? You spent 5 years there. I want to know what that looked like. Who you were when you weren't my wife or Iris's mother. She wipes her eyes with a paper napkin. I lived in Missoula, small apartment above a bookstore. The marshals set me up with a job at a law firm, paralegal work, nothing that would draw attention. My name was Claire Henderson. Did you have friends? A few, surface-level relationships, coffee with coworkers, book club once a month, nothing deep. I couldn't risk getting close to anyone. She pauses. There was a woman named Beth who worked at the bookstore downstairs. She reminded me of you, actually. Single parent, working 2 jobs, fierce as hell about protecting her kid. We'd talk sometimes when I came home late. Did you tell her about us? No, but I think she knew I was running from something. She never pushed. Claudia's fingers trace patterns on the table. I used to sit in my apartment and look at photos on a burner phone the marshals didn't know about. Pictures of you and Iris I'd saved before I left, watching you both grow older in pixels while I stayed frozen in Montana. Marcus absorbs this, the image of Claudia alone in some anonymous apartment, staring at stolen moments of their lives. How did you get the photos? School pictures, rugby games? Court records mostly. When you filed for disability accommodations for Iris, the paperwork required recent photos. I had access through the judicial system, not my jurisdiction, but I could view cases in neighboring counties. I'd search your name every few weeks, looking for any filing that might include updates. She meets his eyes. I know that's a violation of privacy laws and judicial ethics. I don't care. Those photos were the only thing that kept me sane. And the rugby games you said you watched from your car. I came back to the area 2 months ago, after Lorne was arrested in Sacramento for assaulting another attorney. He violated parole, escalated to violence, and they finally had enough to put him away for 15 years. The marshals cleared me to return, but I had to stay away from you until the trial ended and he was sentenced. I couldn't risk him having any reason to target you as leverage. She takes a shaky breath. So, I got the judgeship. My application was already in the system from before witness protection. And I started rebuilding my life. And I watched you both from a distance, trying to figure out how to come back. Were you ever going to tell us you were alive? The question hangs between them, heavy and sharp. I don't know, Claudia admits. Part of me thought it would be kinder to let you move on. You'd grieved, you'd adapted. Iris barely remembers me. Why disrupt that with my guilt and trauma? And the other part? The other part was selfish. It wanted to knock on your door and beg for forgiveness I don't deserve. Marcus drinks his coffee, letting the bitterness ground him. Iris asked me if you remember the dragon stories. Claudia's face transforms, grief and joy mixing into something almost painful to witness. The princess who saved herself. She made me read it every night for 2 months straight. She'd recite the lines with me by the end. She still has the book on her nightstand. Does she? Claudia's voice cracks. Does she ever ask about me? Not as much anymore. She did constantly for the first 2 years, then gradually less. I think she learned that asking made me sad, so she stopped. Marcus meets Claudia's eyes. But she never forgot you. She's just learned to live with the hole you left. The words are cruel, but they're true. Claudia absorbs them like blows. I want to fix that, she says quietly. If you'll let me. I'm not asking to move back in or pick up where we left off. I know that's impossible, but I want to be in Iris's life, however that looks. Supervised visits, weekly dinners, whatever you're comfortable with. She asked if you'll come to her rugby game on Saturday. Hope flares in Claudia's expression. Can I? Marcus considers. The protective part of him wants to say no, to guard Iris from potential abandonment if Claudia decides this is too hard and disappears again. But the fair part, the part that remembers the woman he married, knows that Claudia has already sacrificed 5 years for their safety. She's earned the chance to try. If you've ever had to decide whether to let someone back into your life after they've hurt you, even if they had good reasons, hit that subscribe button because this story is about to show you what forgiveness looks like when it's messy and complicated and real. Yes, Marcus says finally. But if you commit to being there, you show up. No last-minute cancellations, no excuses. Iris doesn't need more abandonment. I'll be there, I promise. Saturday, 2 p.m., Lincoln Park Field 3. It's a scrimmage, so not official, but she loves it. Claudia pulls out her phone and adds it to her calendar, her hands shaking slightly. What should I bring? Does she need equipment or snacks or just yourself? And maybe, Marcus hesitates, maybe bring that dragon book, if you still have it. I don't. I couldn't take anything when I left. Claudia's voice is thick. But I'll buy a new copy. They sit in silence for a moment, the coffee shop bustling around them with the morning rush. Someone's ordering a complicated latte. A student types furiously on a laptop. Normal life happening while Marcus and Claudia try to figure out if they can rebuild something from the wreckage. I need you to understand something, Marcus says. I'm doing this for Iris, not for us. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if we'll ever be anything again. Right now, you're just her mother trying to make amends. That's all I can handle. That's more than I deserve, Claudia replies. Thank you. Marcus stands, his coffee half finished. I need to get to work. I've got 3 service calls today, and I already took yesterday off for the courthouse disaster. Marcus? Claudia stands as well. What you did yesterday, the way you diagnosed that device immediately, the way you protected Iris. That was incredible. I know you left Lockheed Martin to be there for her, but you're wasted doing residential repairs. I'm not wasted. I'm exactly where I need to be. His voice is firm. I make my own hours. I'm home when Iris needs me, and I don't answer to corporate bureaucracy. That's worth more than prestige. Claudia nods slowly. You're right. I'm sorry. That was condescending. Yeah, it was. Marcus pulls on his jacket. Saturday, 2 p.m., don't be late. I won't. He leaves her standing by the table, walks out into November cold, and sits in his truck for 5 minutes before he can make himself turn the key. His hands are shaking. His chest feels tight. 5 years of grief and anger and acceptance are colliding with the impossible reality that Claudia is alive, here, and trying to come back. He pulls out his phone and texts Sarah Chen. Need to update you on some family stuff. Can you call later? Her response is immediate. Of course. Also, courthouse security footage from yesterday just got forwarded to prosecutor. Diane's in deeper trouble than she thought. Marcus allows himself a grim smile. Good. Let Diane's world collapse the way she tried to collapse his. Let her feel powerless and afraid. Let her understand what it means to face consequences. He starts the truck and heads to his first service call. A faulty circuit breaker in a house 3 neighborhoods over. Simple work. Straightforward problem solving, the kind of thing he can fix with his hands instead of his heart. But even as he works, pulling panels and testing voltage, his mind keeps circling back to Claudia's face when she talked about watching them from a distance. The loneliness of her confession, the weight of her choice. She saved them. She destroyed them. Both things are true, and Marcus doesn't know how to hold them simultaneously. He finishes the repair, collects payment, and moves to the next job. Keeps his hands busy so his mind won't spiral. By the time he picks Iris up from school, he's completed 4 service calls, and his body aches with familiar exhaustion. How was your day? He asks as she buckles in. Good. We learned about circuits in science. I told Mrs. Palmer about yesterday, and she said you're a hero. Marcus's throat tightens. I'm not a hero, baby. I just know how electricity works. That's what makes you a hero, Iris insists. You knew what to do when nobody else did. When they pull into the driveway that evening, Marcus notices something unusual. 3 casserole dishes are stacked on the front porch, each covered with aluminum foil and sticky notes. He parks and approaches cautiously, Iris rolling up the ramp beside him. The first note reads, Marcus, I'm so sorry for what happened. This is my grandmother's lasagna recipe. Please let us know if you need anything. The Hendersons, 2 doors down. The second, we should have spoken up sooner about Diane's behavior. Hope Iris is okay. Tom and Linda across the street. The third, heard what happened in court. You and your daughter deserve better. Helen Kowalski. Marcus stares at the offerings, something complicated twisting in his chest. For 6 months, these same neighbors stood by while Diane waged her campaign of harassment. They watched him get fined, cited, threatened with legal action. They said nothing at HOA meetings when Diane railed about property values and neighborhood standards. Now, they bring casseroles. People are weird, Iris observes, reading over his shoulder. Yeah, baby, they are. Inside, Marcus stores the food in the refrigerator and helps Iris with her homework. She's working on a math worksheet, fractions, and keeps getting distracted, staring out the window at nothing. What's on your mind? He asks. Do you think the other kids at school will find out what happened, about the electric thing? Maybe. Would that bother you? She shrugs. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I'm not, broken or anything. Marcus sits beside her at the kitchen table. You're absolutely not broken. You're the strongest person I know. Stronger than you? Way stronger. You've dealt with stuff most adults couldn't handle, and you just keep going. He touches her shoulder gently. If kids at school find out and ask questions, you can tell them as much or as little as you want. It's your story. What would you tell them? I'd tell them that someone made a bad choice and you got hurt, but you're okay now, and that the person who hurt you is facing consequences. Iris nods slowly, processing. Can I tell them about Mom being the judge? The question catches Marcus off guard. Do you want to tell them? I don't know. It sounds kind of cool when I think about it. Like, the bad guy didn't know the judge was secretly my mom. She pauses. Is that weird, that I think it's cool? No, sweetheart, it's not weird at all. She returns to her fractions and Marcus starts dinner, one of the gifted casseroles because he's too tired to cook. While it heats, his phone rings. Unknown number. He almost doesn't answer, but something makes him pick up. Mr. Holloway, this is Helen Kowalski. I hope I'm not disturbing you. Marcus steps into the living room, away from Iris. Mrs. Kowalski, I got your casserole. Thank you. You're welcome, though it hardly feels adequate. She pauses. I'm calling because there's an emergency HOA meeting tonight at 7. We're voting to suspend Diane's authority pending the outcome of her criminal case, and to review all violations issued in the past year. I wanted to give you advance notice in case you'd like to attend. Why the sudden change of heart? Helen is quiet for a moment. Because what happened yesterday was unconscionable, and because I've spent the last 24 hours realizing that I've been complicit in harassment disguised as community standards. Several of us have. We're not proud of it. Complicit is a strong word. It's the accurate word. Diane has been targeting you for months, and we looked the other way because it was easier than confronting her. That makes us responsible too. Her voice firms. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Marcus. I'm telling you that we're going to fix what we can. Your fines will be voided, the ramp citation will be removed from record, and we're establishing new oversight protocols so one person can never wield that kind of unchecked power again. Marcus doesn't know what to say. Part of him wants to rage, to tell her it's too little too late, but another part, the exhausted part, just wants this to be over. I appreciate the call, he says finally. I don't think I'll attend the meeting. Iris needs stability right now, not more HOA drama. I understand. We'll mail you the meeting minutes and the official documentation of the reversed violations. She hesitates. For what it's worth, several of us always thought your ramp was well built. We just didn't have the courage to say so. After she hangs up, Marcus stands in the living room, his phone still in his hand. Iris appears in the doorway. Who was that? Mrs. Kowalski. The HOA is voiding all the fines and citations. Because of what happened in court? Yeah. Iris wheels closer. So we won? Marcus considers the question. Diane is facing criminal charges. The HOA is reversing its harassment. The community is offering belated support. By any objective measure, they did win, but it cost them. It cost Iris a burn on her arm and new nightmares. It cost Marcus 6 months of stress and legal fees. And it brought Claudia back into their lives, which feels less like winning and more like opening a wound that never properly healed. Yeah, baby, he says anyway. We won. The emergency HOA meeting happens without them. Marcus hears about it later through a forwarded email from Helen containing the official minutes. Diane's suspension passed unanimously. 15 violations from the past year were reviewed. 12 were deemed inconsistent with community standards and voided. A new 3-person oversight committee was established to review all future citations before they're issued. The email includes a formal apology from the board, signed by all 7 members except Diane. Marcus deletes it without responding. On Friday evening, Sarah Chen calls with an update. The prosecutor's office released the security footage to Diane's attorney. It shows her in the courthouse hallway before the hearing, opening the device and doing something to the internal wiring. Her defense is falling apart. What does that mean for the case? It means her attorney is probably going to push for a plea deal. Assault charges in exchange for dropping the deadly weapon enhancement, maybe. Less prison time, but still a felony conviction. And if she doesn't take the deal, then we go to trial and she faces the full charges. Given the video evidence, the modified device, and Evan's expert testimony about the illegal modifications, she'll lose. Sarah pauses. How's Iris doing? She's okay. Nervous about the rugby game tomorrow. Because of the game or because her mom's coming? Both, probably. Well, tell her I'm rooting for her team. Sarah's voice softens. And Marcus, you're doing a good job with all of it. The words hit harder than they should. Marcus thanks her and hangs up, then sits at the kitchen table with a beer he's too tired to drink. Through the window, he can see his ramp, illuminated by the porch light. The ramp that started everything. The ramp that Diane tried to destroy, and the HOA finally accepted, and the neighborhood now quietly admires. Tomorrow, Claudia will see it in person for the first time. She'll see what Marcus built for their daughter while she was learning to survive in Montana under a false name. She'll see 5 years of single parenthood distilled into powder-coated steel and hospital-grade electrical work. He wonders what she'll think, wonders if she'll understand that every weld, every measurement, every safety feature was an act of love in her absence. Probably not. You can't explain grief built into architecture, but maybe she'll see the LED lights Iris insisted on, multicolored strips that change with her wheelchair controls, and recognize their daughter's personality shining through the practical construction. Maybe that will be enough. Marcus finishes his beer, checks on Iris, asleep with Mr. Gears and the dragon book Marcus ordered online tucked under her pillow, and goes to bed knowing that tomorrow will either begin healing or confirm that some things, once broken, stay broken forever. Saturday arrives cold and bright, the kind of November day where the sun offers light but no warmth. Marcus wakes early, makes pancakes again, and watches Iris pick at her breakfast with the same nervous energy she had before her first rugby game 2 years ago. She'll be there, he reassures her. Your mom doesn't break promises. How do you know? She broke the promise to stay. The observation is devastatingly accurate. Marcus has no good answer, so he offers the only truth he has. Because I saw her face when she said she'd come. She meant it. They arrive at Lincoln Park at 1:45. The field is already crowded with families setting up folding chairs and team canopies. Iris's coach, a woman named Rita with a sleeve of tattoos and boundless enthusiasm, waves them over. There's my star defender. How's the arm? Iris holds up her bandaged forearm. It's okay. Doctor said I can play as long as I'm careful. That's my girl. We're scrimmaging against the Riverside Ravens today. They're tough, but we're tougher. Rita notices Marcus scanning the parking lot. Looking for someone? Iris's mom is coming. First time she's been to a game. Rita's eyebrows rise, but she's smart enough not to ask questions. Well, she picked a good one. We're going to crush it today. Marcus helps Iris with her gear, mouthguard, gloves, her custom wheelchair with the reinforced frame and low center of gravity. Other families are arriving, setting up. The pre-game energy building. Iris's friend Hannah rolls over, and the two girls immediately start strategizing about defense formations. At 1:58, a silver sedan pulls into the parking lot. Marcus recognizes it from the courthouse. Claudia emerges carrying a purple gift bag and a book. She's dressed in jeans and a thick sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looks nervous. Iris sees her and goes very still. Dad, she came. Told you. Claudia approaches carefully, reading the energy. Hi, Iris. You look ready to dominate. Thanks. Iris glances at the gift bag. What's that? Well, I brought the dragon book like your dad suggested. And I also brought something else. She pulls out a purple foam finger with Go Iris written in silver glitter. I wasn't sure if that was too dorky, but the lady at the store said it was traditional sports parent equipment. Iris's face splits into a genuine smile. It's perfect. The tension in Claudia's shoulders eases slightly. She crouches beside the wheelchair. I know I've missed a lot of games, but I'm here now, and I want to cheer louder than anyone else on this field. Is that okay? Yeah, but don't be embarrassing. I'll try my best, but I make no promises. Rita calls the team together for warm-ups. Iris rolls toward the field, then looks back at her parents, both of them, for the first time in 5 years. You're both staying, right? For the whole game? We're both staying, Marcus confirms. Claudia nods. Wouldn't miss it. The scrimmage is brutal and beautiful. Wheelchair rugby, or murder ball, as the kids call it, is full-contact chaos. Players slam into each other at high speed, fighting for possession of the ball, spinning and dodging with precision that looks effortless but requires incredible upper body strength and spatial awareness. Iris plays defense, and she's ferocious. Marcus watches her block a Riverside player twice her size, spinning her chair at the last second to absorb the impact and steal the ball. The crowd cheers. Claudia jumps to her feet, waving the purple foam finger and screaming encouragement. Marcus glances at her and sees tears streaming down her face even as she yells, "That's my daughter! That's my girl!" Other parents are staring, probably wondering who this emotional woman is, but Claudia doesn't seem to notice or care. She's completely focused on Iris, watching every move, every defensive play, every moment of competence and strength. At halftime, Iris's team is up by 4 points. She rolls over for water and a snack, breathing hard, her face flushed with exertion and joy. "Did you see that block?" she asks. "Hannah set it up perfect, and I just took the opening." "You were amazing," Claudia says, her voice thick. "I had no idea you were this good. Coach Rita says I might make varsity next year if I keep improving." "You will. I know you will." Marcus hands Iris a granola bar and watches this moment, mother and daughter, talking about something normal and immediate, the 5-year gap temporarily forgotten in the shared excitement of a game. The second half is even more intense. Riverside rallies, tying the score with 3 minutes left. Iris's team calls a timeout, huddling together while Rita gives instructions. When they break, Iris is positioned at the key defensive spot. The final play is textbook. Riverside's lead scorer drives toward the goal, but Iris anticipates the move, cuts her off at an angle, and forces a turnover. Hannah scoops up the loose ball and scores with 30 seconds remaining. The game ends with Iris's team winning by 2 points. The kids celebrate, bumping wheelchairs and high-fiving, while parents applaud and pack up chairs. Claudia is openly crying now, not bothering to hide it. "She's incredible, Marcus, she's absolutely incredible." "Yeah," he agrees quietly. "She is." Iris rolls over, sweaty and beaming. "We won!" Claudia drops to her knees and hugs her daughter tightly. "You were magnificent. I am so proud of you." Iris hugs back, hesitant at first, then stronger. When they pull apart, she's crying too. "I'm really glad you came, Mom." "Me too, baby. Me too." Rita approaches with the team, and suddenly they're surrounded by celebrating kids and curious parents. Someone asks Marcus if Claudia is his wife, and he freezes, unsure how to answer. Claudia saves him. "I'm Iris's mom. I've been away for a while, but I'm back now." It's not the whole truth, but it's enough. The other parents nod, accepting the explanation without prying. Hannah's mother invites them to the post-game pizza gathering, and before Marcus can manufacture an excuse, Iris accepts enthusiastically. So, they end up at a loud, chaotic pizzeria with 15 wheelchair rugby players and their families. Iris sits between her parents, eating pepperoni and recounting plays with Hannah. Claudia asks questions about the rules, the strategy, the team dynamics, and Iris answers with the patient expertise of someone who loves explaining her passion. Marcus watches this and feels something shift. Not forgiveness exactly, not reconciliation, but maybe the beginning of acceptance that their family might exist in a new shape. Not what it was, but not nothing either. After pizza, they walk Iris to Marcus's truck. Claudia helps fold the wheelchair, her movements careful around the equipment she's never handled before. "Thank you for letting me come," she says to Marcus. "That meant everything." "She needed you there." "What about you? Did you need me there?" Marcus considers the question honestly. "I don't know yet, but it didn't hurt as much as I thought it would." "That's something, at least," Iris calls from the truck. "Mom, are you coming to my next game?" Claudia looks at Marcus, asking permission. He nods slightly. "Absolutely," Claudia tells Iris. "Every game you'll let me attend?" "Okay, but next time, bring snacks. Dad always brings orange slices." "Orange slices, got it." They stand in the parking lot as other families drive away. The sun setting early, the way it does in late autumn. Claudia clutches the dragon book and the foam finger, artifacts of a day spent trying to rebuild something precious from ruins. "Same time next week?" she asks. "I'd like to take Iris to dinner, if that's okay with both of you." Marcus glances at his daughter. "Iris, can we go to the place with the good mac and cheese?" "We can go anywhere you want," Claudia promises. 3 months pass in a slow negotiation of boundaries and healing. Claudia starts with weekly dinners, then adds Tuesday afternoon pickups from school. She attends every rugby game, arrives at parent-teacher conferences, and coordinates schedules with Marcus through careful text messages that avoid anything too personal. They're co-parenting, not reconciling. The distinction matters. Marcus watches his daughter bloom under the attention. Iris is more confident, more willing to take risks on the rugby field and in the classroom. She still has nightmares sometimes about the courtroom incident, but they're becoming less frequent. The burn scar on her arm has faded to a thin pink line that the doctors say will disappear completely within a year. Diane Carrington took a plea deal in January. 18 months in prison, 5 years probation, permanent restraining order. She'll be released in 9 months with good behavior. Marcus attended the sentencing hearing, but didn't speak. The judge's ruling was sufficient. Justice served without vindication, which somehow feels appropriate. The community college offered Marcus a permanent position. Teaching electrical safety after his evening course exceeded enrollment expectations. He accepted, cutting back on service calls to 2 days a week. The teaching pays less, but the schedule works better for Iris's needs. And he discovers he loves watching students understand concepts that click into place like circuits completing. On a Tuesday in late February, Marcus is grading assignments at the kitchen table when Claudia texts, "Can we talk in person, just the two of us?" His stomach tightens. They've been so careful to keep everything focused on Iris, avoiding the bigger questions about what happened and what might happen next. This feels like those questions demanding answers. He responds, "Tomorrow night, coffee shop on Maple, perfect. 7 p.m. The next evening, Marcus arrives first again, choosing the same corner table. Claudia enters at 7 exactly. Her punctuality something that hasn't changed in 5 years. She's carrying a manila folder, which immediately sets off alarms. "What's that?" he asks after she sits. "Documentation." She opens the folder, revealing official-looking papers with federal seals. "I wanted you to see the actual witness protection records, the marshal's reports, the timeline of David Lorne's surveillance, everything. I know I've told you pieces, but you deserve to see proof that I wasn't just running away." Marcus stares at the documents. "You don't have to prove anything to me." "Yes, I do. Because part of you still wonders if I left because I wanted to, not because I had to." Her voice is steady, but her hands shake slightly. "And I need you to know, absolutely and completely, that leaving you both was the hardest thing I've ever done." He pulls the folder toward him and reads, "Federal reports documenting Lorne's escalating behavior, photos of him parked outside their house, phone records showing 73 calls to Claudia's office in 1 week, witness statements from other attorneys he'd targeted, then the witness protection agreement signed 3 days after Claudia disappeared, granting her new identity in exchange for testimony. There are also surveillance photos that make Marcus's blood run cold. Pictures of Iris on the playground, taken from a distance with a telephoto lens. Pictures of Marcus leaving for work, their house at night, windows lit from within, intimate and vulnerable. "He was watching us," Marcus says quietly. "For weeks. The marshal said if I'd stayed, he would have eventually made a move. He was escalating toward violence. Claudia's voice cracks. I couldn't risk it. Couldn't risk him hurting you to punish me. Marcus closes the folder, unable to look at more evidence of violation. I believe you. I've believed you since the coffee shop. You didn't need to show me this. Maybe I needed to show myself, needed to prove I made the right choice, even though it destroyed us. She wipes her eyes. The therapist I've been seeing says I'm still carrying guilt for surviving when our family didn't. Our family did survive, it just changed shape. Claudia looks at him with something like hope. Is that what we are? A family? Marcus considers the question carefully. They've been dancing around it for months, co-parenting, coordinating, sharing space in Iris's life without addressing what that means for their own relationship. I think we're becoming one again, he says finally. A different one than before. But, yeah, family. What does that look like to you? Honestly, I don't know. I know I'm not ready to just pick up where we left off. I know I still wake up angry sometimes about the years we lost. But I also know that Iris needs both of us, and that matters more than my hurt feelings. Claudia nods slowly. That's fair. More than fair. What does it look like to you? Marcus asks. I'd like to keep moving forward, keep building trust. Maybe eventually... She trails off. I still love you. I need you to know that. I never stopped. But I also know that love isn't enough to fix what broke. No, Marcus agrees, it's not. They sit in silence, the coffee shop's ambient noise filling the space between words. A barista calls out orders. Someone's laptop plays music too quietly to identify. Normal, life happening while Marcus and Claudia try to figure out if they can inhabit normal again. Iris asked me last week if we were going to get remarried, Claudia says. What did you tell her? I told her that adults sometimes need time to figure things out, and that's okay. That love can look different than it used to and still be real. Marcus manages a smile. That's a good answer. She said she'd be okay with whatever we decided, as long as we both kept showing up for her. Smart kid. She gets that from you. She gets it from both of us. Marcus finishes his coffee, now cold. I've been thinking about suggesting family therapy. The three of us together, working through everything with professional help. Claudia's expression brightens. I think that's a great idea. My therapist could probably recommend someone who specializes in family reunification. Let's do it then. Marcus stands, pulling on his jacket. And Claudia, thank you for showing me the documentation. I know that couldn't have been easy. You deserve to see it. She stands as well. Marcus, I know I say this a lot, but I'm sorry for everything. For the pain, for the lost time, for making choices without you. I know, and I'm working on forgiving you. It just takes time. I've got time now, as much as you need. They walk out together into February cold, breath fogging in the parking lot. Claudia's sedan is parked next to Marcus's truck, and the proximity feels symbolic somehow, their lives running parallel, close but not quite touching. Same time next Tuesday for Iris pickup? Claudia asks. Yeah, she's got a project presentation at 3:30 if you want to stay and watch. I'll be there. Marcus drives home thinking about family therapy, about documentation proving Claudia's sacrifice, about the slow work of rebuilding trust. When he arrives, Iris is at the kitchen table working on homework, and the house smells like the casserole he put in the slow cooker that morning. How was coffee with Mom? Iris asks without looking up from her math worksheet. Good. We're going to start doing family therapy together, the three of us. Iris nods as if this makes perfect sense. Hannah's family does that. She says it helps them talk about hard stuff without yelling. That's the idea. Cool. She finishes a problem, then looks up. Dad? I'm glad Mom came back, even if it's weird sometimes. Marcus sits beside her. Me too, baby, me too. That night, after Iris is asleep, Marcus stands on the ramp outside their front door. The LED lights are cycling through colors, Iris's favorite setting, rainbow fade. He runs his hand along the railing, feeling the smooth powder coating, the solid construction underneath. He built this ramp as an act of love when Claudia was gone. Now she's back, and the ramp remains. Proof that some things endure even when everything else falls apart. Proof that love can be measured in precise angles and hospital-grade electrical work. Proof that fathers show up even when mothers can't. The ramp isn't just accessibility anymore. It's a bridge between who they were and who they're becoming. And standing here in the February cold, Marcus thinks maybe that's enough for now. Maybe enough is all any family needs to start rebuilding. 6 months after the courthouse incident, Marcus returns home from teaching to find Iris outside on the ramp, her wheelchair parked at an angle while she works on a robotics project with Hannah. Circuit boards and wire cutters are spread across the textured surface, colorful LEDs blinking as they test connections. "Dad, look!" Iris holds up a motorized attachment she's been designing. "It's a bracket that'll let me carry my school bag without using my hands." Hannah helped with the servo motor programming. Marcus kneels to examine their work. The engineering is solid: thoughtful weight distribution, clean soldering, proper wire management. "This is impressive. Did you design the circuit layout yourself?" "Mostly. Mom helped me figure out the power supply calculations when she picked me up Tuesday." The casual mention of Claudia, Mom, not my mom, or Judge Holloway, just Mom, makes something warm settle in Marcus's chest. 6 months of family therapy, supervised visits that gradually became unsupervised, weekly dinners that turned into weekend breakfasts, slow, painful work of learning to be a family again. They're not back together, Marcus and Claudia. They're not living in the same house or sharing the same bed or pretending 5 years didn't leave scars. But they're co-parenting with genuine partnership now, trading pickup duties and attending school events together, sitting on opposite ends of the bleachers at rugby games, but cheering for the same daughter. It's not what they had before. It's something different, something built on honesty about damage instead of pretending the damage doesn't exist. Marcus's phone buzzes, a text from Sarah Chen. Diane Carrington released early. 3 months for good behavior. Restraining order still in effect. Just FYI. He stares at the message, waiting for the surge of anger or fear. It doesn't come. Diane is out, living with her sister in another county, stripped of her HOA authority, and convicted felon status following her everywhere. She can't hurt them anymore. The system worked eventually, even if it required his daughter getting electrocuted first. "Everything okay?" Iris asks, noticing his expression. "Yeah, just work stuff." He pockets his phone. "You two hungry? I'm making stir-fry." "Can Hannah stay for dinner?" "Of course." Inside, Marcus prepares food while the girls continue their project outside. Through the kitchen window, he watches them work. 2 kids absorbed in creation, problem-solving with the unself-conscious competence of people who haven't learned to doubt themselves yet. The ramp they're working on isn't just Iris's anymore. It's become a gathering place. Neighborhood kids use it as a skateboard. Ramp when Iris isn't home. The postal worker sits on it during her break. Last week, Marcus found Mr. Henderson from 2 doors down, replacing a loose bolt without being asked, just maintaining something he'd come to see as communal infrastructure. The ramp that Diane tried to destroy became proof that sometimes the things people attack are the things worth protecting. At 6:30, Claudia arrives for dinner. She's been doing this twice a week now, showing up with wine or dessert, eating with them, helping Iris with homework, then leaving after dishes. Boundaries carefully maintained while connections slowly deepen. Tonight, she brings strawberry shortcake and news. "I got assigned to juvenile court next month. It's what I've been hoping for, back to advocacy work with kids who need someone in their corner." "That's perfect for you," Marcus says and means it. Over dinner, they talk about Iris's upcoming science fair project, Hannah's birthday party next weekend, and the varsity rugby tryouts in the fall. Normal conversation, domestic and comfortable, the kind of thing that would have been unremarkable 7 years ago, but feels like a miracle now. After Hannah's mom picks her up, and Iris retreats to her room to video chat with friends, Marcus and Claudia sit on the front porch. The ramp stretches before them, its LED lights cycling through sunset colors, orange to pink to purple to blue. "I still can't believe you built this," Claudia says quietly. Hospital-grade everything, over-engineered to the point of absurdity because she deserved the best. "She did. She does." "You were both parents while I was gone, mother and father. I don't know how you managed." Marcus shrugs. "You do what needs doing, same as you did, making the impossible choice to leave so we'd be safe." They sit in silence, watching the light fade from the sky. A year ago, this moment would have been impossible. 6 months ago, it would have been unbearably tense. Now, it's just 2 people who share a daughter and a history, learning to share a present tense too. "She wants to invite you to her birthday party next month," Marcus says. "The big one. She's turning 10, wants a whole thing at the roller rink. I'd love to come, If you're comfortable with it. I am, we are. He looks at Claudia. You're part of this family again. Iris knows it, I know it. It's just different now. Different doesn't mean broken. No, Marcus agrees. Sometimes different means stronger. Claudia's hand moves across the porch boards, stops an inch from his. Not touching, but close. Reaching towards something they're not quite ready to grasp, but refuse to completely abandon. Thank you, she says, for letting me come back, for not shutting me out. Thank you for coming back, for fighting to be here even when it was complicated and painful. Inside, Iris calls for help with her math homework. Marcus stands, offers Claudia his hand to help her up. Their fingers touch briefly, a small connection that feels monumental. They go inside together, help Iris with fractions, argue good-naturedly about the best method for solving word problems. Claudia leaves at 8:30 with a hug for Iris and a careful wave for Marcus. After she's gone, Marcus tucks Iris into bed. She's getting too old for this ritual, but neither of them is ready to give it up yet. Dad? She's holding Mr. Gears, the stuffed robot that's been with her through everything. Are you happy? The question catches him off guard. Yeah, baby, I think I am. Are you? Yeah, I like having Mom around again, even if it's weird sometimes that you're not married anymore. We're still figuring out what we are, Marcus admits. But whatever shape our family takes, you're the most important part. You know that, right? I know, she yawns. I'm glad we won against Ms. Carrington, even though it was scary. Me too. Marcus turns off the light, leaves her door cracked open, and walks back to the kitchen. Through the window, he sees the ramp glowing in the darkness, its LEDs painting the front of their house in shifting colors. He built that ramp when everything was falling apart. Claudia left to keep them safe. Iris learned to live with loss, and somehow, impossibly, they survived. Not unchanged, not undamaged, but surviving, which is its own form of winning. The ramp remains. The family rebuilds. And Marcus Holloway, former military engineer and current community electrician and forever single dad learning to co-parent, stands in his kitchen and feels something he hasn't felt in 6 years. Hope for tomorrow. If this story reminded you that dignity can't be stolen, only surrendered, and that sometimes the people who hurt us face consequences while the people we love find their way back, subscribe and don't miss our next story. We bring you stories every week about people who refused to stay down, who turned injustice into transformation, and who proved that family can break and bend without shattering completely. Trust me, you'll feel it. And tell me in the comments, what injustice should we tackle next?